Alright guys, that's Kremp again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying all day so far. Big day of CDL matches today with some interesting storylines yet again emerging. OpTic versus Miami continues to be a serious problem for the Green Wall. Their first series lost this season online with Huke on the roster. It comes at an inopportune time, but it's certainly a fortunate one for Super and the Heretics boys as they look to make a run towards the World Championship, which got especially interesting with the final game of the day as well. Very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. We're going to begin right here. Thought it was really cool that Ghosty got his promotion effectively to the Esports content manager at FaZe. Kind of did a pretty banging video announcement about the whole thing as well. So I thought it was really, I don't know, just a nice congrats to Ghosty, all that type of good stuff. But let's go with the series because one of those map ones, I mean, you see it every so often with OpTic, but it is one of these map ones where probably they felt like they were going to win this series, and it's kind of one of those like Mike Tyson, you've got a plan to get punched in the mouth, and all of a sudden they're down 120 points. They brought a bit of a comeback here, and well, lots of interesting storylines this series. I think Huke was not spectacular, but he was fine. Shotzzy had his moments, but I know that there will be lots of talk about the ARs coming out of this series on the OpTic side. But I want to give Miami the credit that they deserve for this series. They've not been especially good so far this season, but I mean, I mention it whenever we talk about this particular matchup, that Heretics are always a danger team online. They might not win that many series, but you can never count them out, even against the better teams, because they have some real talented players on Heretics. They play at a pace and in a style that nobody else really does. They are capable of catching any team in the league off guard, in my opinion, Heretics. They won't do it that often, just because that's the nature of their play, but maybe they will now with Super in the team instead. I mean, we've got to talk about Super as the video goes on as well. They finally made that roster change. I mean, frankly, myself and many others were calling for this for, you know, not just a couple of months now, but for frankly a couple of years. And now Super is in the league, and well, he's showing up in his second series in the league against OpTic Texas. But I definitely think from the OpTic side, they probably came into this one expecting, you know, given their recent scrims, they played Heretics in scrims. I don't know, we saw the scrim set several days ago now. They won the scrim set. Their matches have been looking pretty good online, but I think there's definitely, you know, some differences between when you watch them play in some of these scrims, the way their comms sounds, not like you can always hear all the comms, but, you know, compared to some of the matches today, seemed a bit lackluster. So OpTic turned it around a bit, but they still lost the game one. Skyz ended double negative. Dashy ended substantially negative, which is, look, it is a surprise. I mean, Dashy, based on, we literally talked about it earlier today, that his scrim set against Rokkr last night, he was frying. But translating that into games is obviously an issue. And I heard that Octane said on stream today that as far as he's concerned, scrims are a way to judge a team, but he believes they give you 10% of the knowledge. He reckons scrims, roughly, their results contribute 10% to how good the team actually is, and it is not, of course, as we know, a reliable indicator for how well the team will actually do in matches. And maybe we've seen some evidence of that tonight. And game two was a similar story. This was a pretty inexcusable round for OpTic to lose, really. I mean, yeah, getting two-pieced here by Super completely turned around on its head, and it's not something you can allow to happen. 4-2 advantage here for the Heretics. It's a 3v4, though, in favour of OpTic. They run out middle. I mean, Skyz just slides in, no trades. They have to back up. Eventually, OpTic lose the rounds. They brought a bit of a comeback, but they lost the map anyway, thanks to Super doing this on the final round. I mean, this is what I love about Hacienda, right? Like, I loved it in BO4 for this exact reason. If you want to, just chow top mid. Super slides out. He's currently 12 in 7, and he had a good search and destroy last time out against Rokkr as well last weekend. He slides out, takes the chow, 1-2. Obviously, okay, he's got teammate support on this, but he gets the third onto Dashy, and then kills the last guy as well. Actually, insane stuff. Shotzzy goes down 2. He aces the final rounds and ties the kill record for this title at 16 kills. So the guy is playing out of his mind, and we've got to talk a little bit about the fact that he's been down there in challenges in Europe now for several years. He was never picked up to the Spanish teams in the past in the Pro League. I didn't really understand why. I mean, last year, we were talking a lot on the shows and stuff about Raincore and Super looking real nice. Now they're both on this team, and guess what? I mean, they're both frying, right? And it's a talking point that people say, there's, you know, no upcoming talent in challenges. Well, if you actually take a chance on a player that we've not seen a million times in the Pro League before, you might find talents out there like Super. And I know that there's people frustrated because, you know, people that have followed Super's career believe that this game is actually one of his weaker games. I think he's been better for the last couple of years, but he's never got the opportunity to show it. And in the Spanish scene, there's been some debate on just internal politics, really. Super and Renkor, and do they get on with the other guys? Like, there was the other camp of Spanish guys. It only seemed to be like Journey that would bridge the gap between both teams, like sort of Eric Boom as well. So, you know, notable Spanish players. But Super, look, whether he maintains this, sure, but today was a very impressive performance. He looked incredibly impactful. But the final map of the series, OpTic then won the control. That was impressive from them. But this Hacienda was really a map that OpTic can just never lose. And the way that they lost this really deserves a lot of analysis from OpTic. Yes, it's an online series. You know, they're 2-1 now. They might beat Falcons tomorrow. They're probably going to be fine in terms of getting a good seed for the major. But, you know, even World Championship qualification is not guaranteed. It's very likely, but it's not precisely guaranteed, especially if Heretics play better, and some of the other teams in that ballpark are also making a bit of a run. But when OpTic go up by 100 points pretty much on Hassi, there's no way ever they should be losing the game, certainly not by 50 points. This was a critical moment. I mean, look, the middle of the game kind of collapsed for them. Shotzzy had a really strong start. I think Shotzzy started out like, 12-4 or something like that. At this point in the game, he was 18-19, and this was one of the really unforgivable mistakes here, right? So you've got number 6 in Real. He's made it into the back. Number 7, Renkor, is running through mid, and, well, Skyz, that's Skyz, right? Skyz sees him. He's gunning him down. But the next screenshot of this moment is Renkor just shooting Shotzzy in the side. So Shotzzy, I mean, Octane was mind-blowing in this. Shotzzy runs out of this bottom door, runs up the stairs, somehow doesn't know that Renkor's literally right here. So something massive broke down here. Either Shotzzy just wasn't listening, or Skyz didn't call it out. One of those two things happened, and this was a massive, massive kill. Because if they kill Renkor here, which they should have done, they probably clean out number 6, they win the rotation, they likely win the game. Just a crucial moment to have a breakdown in comms like that. And then 2 seconds later, Skyz then goes down, Huke then goes down. Super is there shooting bodies. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes. They're down 2 points in a close hardpoint against OpTic in one of his first series as a pro. And he's shooting bodies in his map in a hardpoint. Couldn't believe my eyes. I think guess what? They went on to win the whole thing. And Dashy's webcam got annihilated again. So, yeah, not a great performance from OpTic today. And look, is it the end of the world? No. But there's certainly takeaways, right? Because they've been looking pretty good online in scrims. Of course, Heretics are a team that can always cause you problems. But it's just the manner of the way that they lost from like a communication perspective and again a teamwork perspective, not seemingly always being on the same page, that was causing the questions. Today, obviously, the OpTic guys in the watch party were pretty mind-blown about the series because, you know, many of us expected OpTic to win. I wasn't sure that it was going to be incredibly convincing, but I thought that they would win the series. And over the last 3 months, I mean, this season so far, okay, the other occasions have been dramatic for various reasons. I mean, Major 1, to be fair, was a similar team to what they've got today, but with Kenny in the roster. Major 2 qualifiers, they got 3-0'd by them. That was happening for everyone. They've lost them again. I mean, it's 3 times in a row, right? Which is kind of crazy to think, is it a rivalry or, do they kick their ass every time, basically? And even this from the Heretics was, I mean, look, you can read between the lines on this if you'd like to, or maybe you'd choose not to. But look, they're clearly making some sort of a point, aren't they, about the team that OpTic currently are holding. So Huke was the only one, as of recording this anyway, to tweet anything out about it. He just says, GG's Miami. He still doesn't have the OpTic tick back yet. Whether Heretics can keep this up, we'll see. I mean, they obviously beat Falcons the other week. I think maybe I said Rokkr earlier, but it was Falcons they beat in 5. They've now beat OpTic in 4. And yeah, Metals, Real in their negative, Renkor and Super with a great series. Shotzzy, I think, played fine, but as I say, there was a couple of moments. Huke had a pretty good series. Dashy and Skyz were kind of nowhere, right? And I think this is, look, Skyz, maybe it's okay on some level. I mean, he's coming to replace Kenny. Has he been much better than where Kenny was? Yeah, sure. Like, he's been better than what Kenny was performing like for OpTic, for sure. But if Skyz is going to be there, like, they just need more from Dashy, right? At the end of the day, Dashy and Shotzzy are the real superstars of the team. I think there is an argument that those players have been, I mean, it's undeniable they've been underwhelming this season. But, whether they can turn it around, that I think is the question. It's online cards. I don't think they'll be too frustrated about it, but certainly some takeaways from the OpTic fans today. Couple of other big series. Gentlemates, doesn't seem to matter what they do, what Gataga puts the team together as, they just always lose, and it happened again today. So they weren't, I mean, terrible maybe, like it was at least competitive-ish in the Surge versus Gentlemate series. I mean, game 1 looked like it was going to be pretty close until Surge eventually got over the line. I think that Neptune today, I wouldn't say he exactly turned a corner, but he definitely felt like he, you know, played a bit better, more towards where he wants to be. The Search and Destroy eventually goes their way as well. There was a nice little 1v2 actually in this round of Search and Destroy as well, so Nastie 1v2 gets the first kill. Lunarz, I don't know, maybe he was kind of stuck in the corner, right? But the trades weren't really there. The team looks pretty bad. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Lunarz then started off the map 3 on a 10 spree, and it looked like, wow, they're going to win the map again. This team has been pretty good at control. And then they get reverse swept in the control, which is an absolute dagger to a new team like Gentlemates. And yes, Surge are really good, sure, but you know, have Gentlemates got much better? Not seen that much evidence of it as of today. So, yeah, a quick 3-0, really. Surge get back on track, as Neptune says. GG's Gentlemates 1-3-0, feeling back in form. And Abuzah even throwing some shots at FeLo and says, keep shooting my body, old man. Thought that was all rather entertaining. So, yeah, Vancouver Surge with a hot 3-0, 1.3 from 04, 1.3 from Abuzah, 1.2 from Neptune. Nastie, who had his feet up the whole series pretty much. And then on the other side, it was a pretty familiar story. And what is it with the Minnesota Rokkr and going to absolute banger series here, because they played 3 series so far and they've now been to 3 game 5 round 11s. They lost the first against OpTic, they won the seconds against who was it, Boston, and now they've lost the third in honestly just remarkable fashion today. Because I mean, what a series for so many angles, right? This is that Ravens team that were looking to get Kenny, that Vivid was under pressure for. In the respawns, they've not been looking so good. Rokkr seem to have turned a bit of a corner, but also this is a Ravens team that's, okay, they have some pressure, but they are at no risk of not making it to the World Championship. Minnesota Rokkr most certainly are. They have more to play for in many respects than Ravens this series. Game 1, though, absolute masterclass. This is the level from Rokkr that we have sometimes seen. It was game 1, Nero back at it again. I know that that's becoming a bit of a thing because Nero and Frying in game 1s is certainly a story to keep an eye on. But game 1 was pretty spectacular from the Rokkr. Didn't put a foot wrong, nearly put Ravens in the 100-point club. Looked like a sign of things to come for the series. But again, it's the Search and Destroy where already, you know, maybe it's not a massive surprise. In Search and Destroy, is Kenny the best Search player ever? No. Is the decision-making on that team going to be perfect? No. So the Search and Destroy on paper, I would say, should be the Rokkr's weakest mode. Certainly online, that is likely, and it seems to have been the case so far. Ravens, of course, the other side is true, right? So, like, it's like I said earlier today, if this series ended in 4 or 3 maps, I would have said almost certainly it was a Rokkr win. If this series ended in 5 maps, I was taking the Ravens, and potentially for good reason, right? So it was a tie series. We go to the control. Slasher gets an absolute bag of 3-piece, but it wasn't good enough because this game, I mean, as I say, it was an absolute bagger series, right? Because like the rounds were super intense. It eventually went to the final round of the map. Again, Kenny was having a good map here. Look at him go 30 and 21. The man does seem revitalized, but was it going to be good enough? The answer was yes, but nearly no. I mean, I don't even know what to say about this moment here, really. This is Gwinn, and it looked for all the worlds that they were actually going to be able to win this map right here, right now. I thought that they had it, but I don't know, Geo got the kill on Vivid just in time. Gwinn was left in the hill. They then contested, I mean, okay, it's a 4v1, but there's only 2 alive right now. And then Gwinn, I mean, he had to chow, like there was no other, he didn't have that many bullets left in the gun, but like he had to go for the gunfight win here because if he doesn't, he loses for sure. He actually got out at the point and then swiftly realized shouldn't have done that because they've now got 4 guys and I'm toast. And that's what eventually happens. But speaking of toast, because that was TJ's old gamer tag back in the day, or certainly a nickname back in Advanced Warfare, he was on fire on this map 4. And this was a crucial factor. I thought Rokkr had this one. I was like, okay, back to a hard point. It's not Ravens bread and butter. Rokkr looked like they're going to be good for the win here, but it was TJ with an absolute masterclass 40 bomb on the Hacienda to take it to 5. I mean, even at this moment, it doesn't really look like like it's on. But TJ hits a nice rotation, gets a big couple of kills towards the end of the map as well here as it comes down to the wire. And, you know, never bet against Gwinternet online, I guess is the conclusion. They go to 5, and in 5, it was an absolute masterpiece again, because somehow it goes from this screenshot here, where it was 2-1, eventually 5-2 in favour of the Ravens, to all of a sudden getting the job done in 5. So super frustrating, I'm sure, for Rokkr, because, as I say, it's just such a huge 10 points on the board if they'd have won this series, but they lost it. Could prove critical, certainly with Miami getting a big win on the board today as well. And yeah, I know that Kenny was talking about miscommunication in the Hassie and the cost and that. It's got to feel good for Vivid on some level as well, especially because like he didn't have a great series, but it was certainly good enough. And they get over the line in 5 in a series that was potentially pretty critical for Vivid, right? Because we know that Kenny was an option there, and that then fell through. But a masterclass from Nero, not good enough in the end. Lots to talk about, I'm sure, tomorrow as well. Very much interested your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.